Take a shower. The day a SEAL taught the Army what respect looks like. There are bases where the air carries a memory, where the clank of a gate, the echo of boots, the hum of fluorescent lights in a hallway, all of it feels like someone watching, taking notes, waiting for the moment truth reveals itself. Camp Jericho, somewhere in the quiet sprawl of Colorado, was like that. It wasn't the biggest post, it wasn't the most decorated, but it was the kind of place where reputations traveled faster than facts, and rumors were treated with more authority than paperwork, especially when it came to the new arrival. Petty Officer First Class Elise Marlowe. 34 years old, transferred from Naval Special Warfare to a joint interbranch training program. Quiet, polite professional to the point of discomfort, and carrying a silence that made people suspicious rather than respectful, because there were whispers, ones she never confirmed and never denied. They say she used to be SEAL team. No way. She's too small, too calm. I heard she washed out. I heard she didn't. Which is worse. In a place where ego filled the air like smog, a woman with a SEAL background, true or not, was something many weren't ready to accept. And that's why the trouble started. Not with a fight, not with an argument, but with a single order delivered with the kind of smirk that invites cruelty. Take a shower, and the day everything broke open. The morning she arrived, fog blanketed the base like wet cotton. Trucks rolled past in slow columns, their tires whispering on the asphalt. Soldiers huddled outside the barracks, sipping coffee, talking too loudly, pretending to be awake. Elise stepped out of the transport van with a rucksack that looked older than she was. No patches, no unit tag, just olive drab canvas faded by saltwater, sun, and time. Her uniform was crisp but worn at the seams. She walked like someone who knew how to carry weight, physical and otherwise. But what caught the eyes of the watching soldiers wasn't her gear. It was her quiet. She didn't posture, didn't try to fit in, didn't avoid their stares. She simply breathed, nodded politely at anyone who nodded at her, and moved with the quiet confidence of someone who'd wrestled oceans, not egos. Sergeant Carter, the platoon NCO, watched her like a problem he didn't want. Great, he muttered. Another transfer with a resume too long to be true. Beside him, Specialist Briggs elbowed his buddy. That her? The Navy lady, apparently? That the one they say ran ops with SEALs? Carter snorted. No woman ever cleared Bud S. It's just marketing. She's probably admin. But the seed was planted. Respect wasn't what grew from it. Joint training bases are strange places, full of pride, rivalry, and a constant invisible measuring contest. The Army boys wanted to prove something. The Marines wanted to test something. The Navy transfers wanted to survive something. And Elise? She wanted peace. She moved with quiet discipline, always early, always squared away. Her locker was pristine, her bunk always tight, her reports submitted on time every time. She volunteered for nothing unnecessary, but never refused a task given. And that bothered them, because she didn't fit in, because she didn't break a sweat when others did, because she didn't rise to their teasing, because she didn't snap back, because she didn't defend the rumor, SEAL, veteran combat, classified ops, a ghost in a place full of loud, insecure men. The suspicion turned to resentment, and resentment, in the military, eventually finds an outlet. It happened at 600 on a Wednesday. The sky was just beginning to bleed light. Dew coated the ground, slick and cold. Morning PT had taken the platoon through a 3-mile run, push-ups, burpees, then a lap through the obstacle course. The pit was the last part, a deep trench filled with mud, churned daily by boots and hoses, cold, ankle-deep, foul-smelling. It was meant to humble, not harm. Elise dropped into it like everyone else, calmly, without complaint. That, ironically, made the wrong person angry. Specialist Briggs, 25. Loud, built like a refrigerator with anger issues. He'd been glaring at her all week. As the platoon moved to climb out of the pit, he accidentally bumped her shoulder. She stumbled a step. Briggs grinned. You missed some mud, Navy. She ignored him. That was mistake number 1. He splashed mud onto her boots. She still ignored him. Mistake number 2. Someone else laughed. Briggs puffed up, fueled by attention. Hey, Marlowe, he smirked. You SEALs like to play dirty, right? A pause. Then Carter, arms crossed, watching. Briggs, he warned half-heartedly, cut it out. But his tone said, go on, let's see what she does. The group circled subtly, waiting for something, anything to shatter her calm. Briggs stepped closer, mud dripping from his gloves. You hear me, Navy? I said. Elise didn't look at him. She simply said, I'm done here. Move. Her voice wasn't angry, wasn't disrespectful, just flat, plain, set like a stone dropped in still water. Briggs's jaw clenched. You think you're better than us? No, she said. I just don't care about this game. That was the spark. Briggs shoved her. Hard, she went down, knees sinking into the mud with a heavy splash. Someone gasped. Someone laughed. Someone looked away. Carter didn't move. Briggs, emboldened, spread his arms. Take a shower, he said mockingly. You're dirty, Navy. Then he grabbed her by the back of her vest and threw her face first into the mud. A roar of laughter exploded around them. Elise didn't move for a moment. Not because she was hurt, but because she was deciding. Between anger that would ruin her life and discipline that would save it. She pushed up on her palms, mud dripping from her face, her eyelashes, her uniform. She stood slowly, too slowly for Briggs's comfort. Then she looked at him, not with fury, not with pride, but with the calm of a storm that knows exactly where to hit. Briggs laughed harder. What? Gonna cry? Gonna complain? Gonna... He never finished, because Carter cut in loudly, mocking and authoritative, Petty Officer Marlowe. You look filthy. Go take a shower. The laughter doubled, and Elise, still dripping, still calm, walked past all of them, without a single word. That silence, that destroyed them, more than a punch ever could. The showers in the barracks were open-bay style, rows of pipes, old tile, dim lights. Steam rose around her as she turned on the water, peeling off the mud-soaked uniform. Bruises were already forming on her shoulder where Briggs had grabbed her vest. She didn't wince. She'd had worse. But the bigger wound, the one no one saw, was the familiar ache of betrayal, of being surrounded by the uniform she loved, yet treated like an outsider. Again. She stood under the water, letting it wash the mud away, letting it cool the heat rising inside her chest. Her heartbeat slowed, the anger faded into something sharper. Resolve. She dressed quietly, squared away her gear, and reported to morning briefing without acknowledging anyone. Not Briggs, not Carter, not the whispering soldiers exchanging looks, but someone else noticed. Captain Rowan Hale, mid-30s. Calm voice, sharp mind, tired eyes that had seen too much leadership politics. He oversaw interbranch training and had developed a reputation for fairness, but fairness in the military often has sharp limits. Still, he saw the mud on Briggs's boots. He saw the bruise on Elise's shoulder. He saw the silence, and he filed all of it away. For later, 2 more days passed. Briggs and his friends felt invincible. They laughed louder, bragged louder, pushed harder. Carter pretended not to see. Elise kept doing her job, flawlessly, mechanically, quietly. Her silence bothered them more than anger ever could. Friday afternoon, while the platoon prepped gear for weekend release, the tension finally snapped. Briggs swaggered toward her bunk, leaning against the metal frame. Hey, Navy, he drawled. Gonna wash your boots before formation, or is mud the new SEAL perfume? His buddies snickered. Elise didn't look up from cleaning her weapon. Briggs stepped closer. Say something, he hissed. Nothing. That's what I thought. Fake SEAL, fake stories, fake toughness, still nothing. He grabbed the weapon from her hands. That mistake cost him everything. Elise stood. Slowly, calmly, quietly. Put it back, she said. Briggs spun it around in his hand, mockingly. What? This? He tossed it onto her bunk. I said, she repeated. Put it back. Not toss it. Her tone was steady, her posture neutral, but her eyes, those were different. Briggs laughed. Or what? And then, the turning point came from someone unexpected. Captain Hale's voice cut through the tension like a blade, or you'll learn why Naval Special Warfare dropped her into this program in the first place. The room froze. Hale stepped forward. Every head bowed instinctively under his authority. He didn't yell. He didn't need to. Briggs, he said sharply, Marlowe's record is classified. You know what that means. Briggs swallowed. Hale continued. It means she doesn't have to defend herself. Her service speaks for her. A beat of silence. Then Hale looked directly at Elise. Petty officer, I need you outside. His tone wasn't a reprimand. It was an invitation. Outside, the wind cut across the training field, cold and sharp. Dust swirled in little spirals across the gravel. Hale crossed his arms. You should have reported them. Elise shook her head. It would change nothing. It might, Hale said. No, I've seen this before. Ego, insecurity, chain of command politics. They don't hate me. They hate the idea of me. Hale exhaled slowly. You're not wrong. They stood in silence for a moment. Then he asked quietly, Do you want me to handle it? Elise looked at the ground, jaw tight. I want fairness, she said. Not revenge, not favoritism, not special treatment because of my past. Hale studied her. You know, he said, they think you're weak because you don't fight back. She smirked faintly. Fighting back is easy. Discipline is hard. And what are you choosing? Neither, she said. I'm choosing truth. Hale nodded once, deciding something final. Then give me 20 minutes, he said, and meet me at the pit. When Elise arrived, the entire platoon was already assembled. Carter. Briggs, every soldier who laughed, every soldier who stood by. Captain Hale stood before them like a judge about to hand down a sentence. He addressed the group. This morning, we'll revisit respect, because I've seen enough, and not just this week. Eyes shifted. Briggs stiffened. Carter swallowed hard. Hale continued. For days, you've mocked, challenged, and, let's call it what it is, assaulted one of your own. And for what? To protect your ego? To pretend you're better than someone whose service you don't even understand? No one spoke. Hale looked at Carter. You're the NCO. You allowed this. Carter flinched as if struck. Then Hale turned to the group. But today, I'm going to teach you what professionalism looks like. And Petty Officer Marlowe is going to assist. A murmur moved through the formation. Briggs muttered something under his breath. Hale ignored him. Marlowe, he said, demonstrate for them the difference between strength and discipline. Elise stepped forward, her posture straight, her expression unreadable, her calm unbroken. Hale gestured toward Briggs. Specialist. Step into the pit. Briggs blinked. What? Why? Because you threw her in. Now you're going in. Briggs wanted to refuse, but he knew he couldn't. He climbed down into the mud, boots sinking. Hale looked at Elise. You're not going to touch him, he said. Not physically. You're just going to show them who you are. Elise nodded. Then she did something unexpected. She stepped to the edge of the pit, crouched, and looked Briggs directly in the eyes. And in a voice calm enough to chill bone, she said, You think strength is loud? You think power is bullying someone quiet, but real strength, the kind forged in oceans and darkness, isn't loud. It's precise, it's controlled, it's earned. Briggs swallowed nervously. Elise continued, You threw me into this mud thinking it proved something. But mud doesn't define a soldier. Character does. Then she stood and addressed the platoon. You all saw what he did. And you laughed, not because it was funny, but because you wanted permission to disrespect what you didn't understand. No one could breathe. Carter looked ashamed. Elise finished. I don't need to fight you. I don't need to prove anything. Because the truth is simple. I survived things you can't imagine. And it didn't make me arrogant. It made me disciplined. Hale stepped forward. Briggs, climb out. He did. Slowly, covered in mud, humiliated, shaken. Then Hale delivered the final blow. Petty Officer Marlowe completed cross-branch joint operations with Naval Special Warfare. Her record is classified because she earned that classification. She doesn't brag about it because real warriors don't. Briggs's face drained of color. And starting today, Hale added, this platoon will treat her with the respect she has already earned through blood and service you'll never know. Silence. Hale looked at Elise. You're dismissed, Petty Officer. She saluted crisply and walked away, the crowd parting like water. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. The lesson was done. Over the next week, everything changed. Carter personally apologized, awkwardly, stumbling over his words, but sincerely. Briggs sought her out in the gym one night, shoulders taut, voice shaky. I was wrong, he said simply. I'm sorry. Elise nodded once. "Don't apologize to me," she said. "Be better for the next person." And he did. So did the rest. Not out of fear, but out of understanding. And from that week on, Elise Marlowe wasn't the Navy lady, wasn't the SEAL rumor, wasn't the quiet ghost in a loud platoon. She became something far more powerful. She became an example of discipline, of strength, of professionalism, of what a true warrior looks like. Ending scene, sunset on Camp Jericho. 3 months later, Elise prepared to transfer again, another classified assignment, another chapter no one would ever fully know. She stood by the fence of the training field, watching the sun burn gold across the mountains. The base was quiet, peaceful, honest in a way it hadn't been when she arrived. Captain Hale approached. "You changed this place," he said. Elise smirked gently. "No, I just reminded them what the uniform stands for." Hale nodded. "And where will you go now?" She shrugged. "Where I'm needed." The wind picked up, rustling the flag overhead. Hale extended his hand. "Fair winds, petty officer." She shook it. "Stay steady, Captain." Then she walked toward the departing transport, boots crunching on gravel, silhouette fading into the amber light. She didn't turn back, because people like her never walk away from the past. They simply walk forward with it, quietly, powerfully, honor intact. True courage isn't in battle, but in standing for what's right, even when you stand alone. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned through discipline, integrity, and the strength to rise above those who try to pull you down.